Now we welcome in Luke Johnson. I'm in a little bit better mood. Luke, how are you?
I'm doing great, and you know what? I think they need to make you the lead negotiator in this.
No, let me in the room. I will tell them all their failures, and we're figuring this out right now. Nobody's leaving until we do. Pack a lunch. We'll be here 6 hours. It'll be done.
I love it. Let's
All right.
go.
All right.
As long as we get to see my Brewers beat your Cubs this year, I'm happy.
Shut it right now. I'm trying to get to Wrigley. I was looking at tickets this summer, and I'm really excited to get up there. I hadn't been in 3 years, and now all of a sudden they're telling me that we're going to miss half the season. So we'll see. Let's talk about a team that does make some decisions in a rather timely fashion, and that is the New Orleans Saints. This offensive coordinator promotion kind of feels like the same process that we went through in looking at a head coach who essentially got a promotion in Dennis Allen. Kind of the same vibes for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a little bit different though this time because I think there's really some truth to the reports coming out. Basically, right after the Dennis Allen hire was made, Pete was considering taking a smaller role on the staff. Wasn't necessarily looking to take over as the offensive play caller after Sean Payton left. Yeah, I think there's some legitimacy to those reports. I think they talked him out of it, or at least got him to come around and reconsider. And yeah, I think this was really smart, right? A lot of people are kind of were hoping he would hire some hotshot offensive coordinator to be on staff, but I think if you're looking at what they have here in place with Dennis Allen, the defensive-minded head coach, it makes a lot of sense to me to have a veteran offensive mind kind of in control and command of the offense. And Pete and Dennis have been on a staff with each other for 12 years.
Yep.
So they know how each other operates. They have a level of respect for each other. I think it was people were looking for something flashy, something new, but I think this is the right move on the Saints' part.
Just my show prep and trying to dig some research up, it appears to me that Carmichael called plays in 11, 12, and 16. And Peyton kind of handled it the rest of the way with Carmichael right there attached to his hip. Is that the way that you understand it?
Yes. So in 11 was only some partial play calling duties when Sean Payton had his injury where Jimmy Graham rolled him up on the sideline. He had like a broken leg. Yes, he doesn't have like a lot of extensive play calling experience. He did call the game this year that Sean Payton missed with COVID, which wasn't the most exciting offensive game. But I think you'd be hard pressed to take a look at what they did in 2021 offensively and say that that's at all representative of what this team is or could be offensively. They were just missing so many guys. He's done it before. He's had some really big success. They were a really good offensive team in 2012 when Sean Payton was suspended for the year and Pete Carmichael was calling plays. The first game that he called plays as a Saints offensive coordinator, when Sean Payton missed the game with a broken leg, they put up 62 points in the Colts. He's had success in that role. He just hasn't, not been doing it as a play caller for the majority of his time here in New Orleans.
There's some very interesting quarterbacks that are possibly disgruntled right now, like maybe Aaron Rodgers, maybe Russell Wilson, maybe Kyler Murray. How realistic with the Saints cap situation and future draft picks and everything like that they could possibly make a move for one of these guys?
Well, I think it's like they'll make the cap thing work for sure. But as far as the other stuff, I think it's definitely a question that we don't know the answer to. I don't know how willing Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers or anybody else would be to coming to New Orleans without having the sure thing here in Sean Payton. Right, he was a huge selling point for the team. I don't know if the Saints have enough in terms of draft capital. Are they going to offer 3 first-round picks for a couple of years of Aaron Rodgers? Is that enough? If one of those picks is number 18, and if you got Aaron Rodgers at the talented roster, you're probably not looking at getting a high pick anytime soon. I don't know. It's just I think you can kind of like war game it out and be like, okay, well, if one of those guys would be willing to come here, and if the Saints could work out the right compensation, then yeah, they'll make it work and they'll do it. But I think those two ifs are pretty big ifs, and we just won't know the answer to that for a good bit.
All right, let's stay on the quarterback deal. There's another question I want to ask about the Carmichael deal, but with quarterbacks, this is just my opinion from kind of outside looking in. You've got a defense that looks very, very good. We'll see what they do in terms of Marcus Williams and how they want to shuffle things, but a defense looks very good. You've got an offense that's got some really good playmakers. You got at least an all-pro right tackle and some young, cheap guards and centers. It just doesn't feel to me like this is a roster where you're going to plug some rookie quarterback in and say, we'll kind of work with you for a couple of years. Like, aren't they ready to go? I realize what just happened in Cincinnati. That's not normal in year 2 to make that kind of leap. Don't they want to get a quarterback that's played some games?
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes the most sense. I think they feel like they're a roster that's ready to win now. I think they understand that the field is kind of wide open, especially if one of those big name quarterbacks that all the guys that you're talking about being potentially traded are guys who are playing for other high level teams in the NFC, right? So their own division in the NFC is severely weakened. Carolina and Atlanta have not been good for a while. And Tampa just lost one of the best players of all time, and they have a bunch of free agents, and who knows if they're going to re-sign all those guys. So I think there's a roster that's ready to win now, and there's some clear opportunities for them to make some moves and be right back in the thick of it as one of the top seeds in the NFC if they get the right guy. So yeah, I mean, I think when you're looking at all those variables, the thing that makes the most sense is for them to plug in a veteran quarterback, and whether that's somebody that you trade a bunch for and go get, which I think would probably be their top preference, or if it's you bring in somebody like Jameis Winston back, or even kind of going outside the box a little bit and finding one of those kind of second tier quarterbacks who could be available in a trade, somebody like Jimmy Garoppolo. I think it makes the most sense to add a veteran quarterback. But that said, if you're in this position where your only option is, let's say they bring Jameis back, and I imagine if they do that, it'll be on a short-term deal. I don't think it's a bad idea to also then invest in a quarterback with a draft pick and then see what you got there with both of those guys.
Does bringing Carmichael back, I mean, I live in a college football world where when Lincoln Riley takes a job in USC, you imagine his quarterback is coming with him, and that's kind of the way things work. Does Carmichael being the offensive coordinator improve the odds that Jameis Winston would be back, being that they already have a relationship?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it doesn't hurt Jameis's case, but I don't think that necessarily improves the odds, because I still think they're going to explore all options there. I don't think Jameis did enough in those 7 games last year to be like, yes, he is absolutely our guy going forward. I just think that they're going to look at every single thing and be like, what is our best potential option at quarterback? Is it Jameis Winston, or is it one of these guys we could potentially trade for? Or maybe they really, really like somebody in the draft. We just don't know it yet, right? Like maybe they went out to Mobile and they were just like, man, Malik Willis was awesome. He fits everything that we want in a player, blah, 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 blah. We are going to make sure we do everything we can to go get Malik Willis in the draft or something like that. There's a lot of different ways it can go. I think it helps Jameis's cause having somebody who's worked with him in the past. There's familiarity with him, with the head coach and with the offensive coordinator. But I don't know if that necessarily makes him like the odds-on favorite.
The Saints obviously need a quarterback, but what do you think their next order of business on the offensive side is going to be as far as, retaining players or possibly going after a certain position?
Yeah, I mean, I think they got to add some playmaker to their receiver core. Even if Mike Thomas comes back completely healthy, right, and the same player he was in 2019, which I think is probably a big if at this point, right? He could, but it's been 2 years since he's been that. They just clearly were lacking in that department last year. I think Marquez Callaway is a pretty good player. I think Deontay Hardy is a pretty good player. They can give you something on that team, and they should be around. But they need somebody else there. Yeah, they need somebody who's going to be a threat opposite Michael Thomas, and they can't just if one of those guys went out, if Alvin Kamara or Michael Thomas went out for a game, and this last year we saw Michael Thomas out for the whole season, they were punchless. I mean, they had nothing. Marquez Callaway came on nicely at the end of the year, but I mean, for big chunks of the year, it looked like they weren't even going to have a single wide receiver on the team top 600 yards. So that has to be addressed this offseason. They've for far too long just kind of assumed some guys were going to develop there, that they could just kind of fill that that position group with undrafted free agents and lower round draft picks, and I just think that's got to be something that they invest in, because it was just clearly lacking in talent last year.
Luke, I think the Raiders beat was working pretty hard this year. Had a lot of stuff to deal with. I don't think anybody was working harder than the Saints beat this year. You could have been on the Colts or the Vikings or something where nothing went on. We appreciate you being so available. When you come out to the box at some point, which I know you will, a couple beers on me. How about that?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, man. I was kind of hoping to get out there this weekend for opening weekend. I just don't think that's happening. So sometime after Mardi Gras, I'll be out there and we'll take you up on that.
Absolutely. I'm just fired up. Paul Maneri just confirmed he's going to sit in with us in the first hour at Walk-Ons tomorrow. So it's all good over here.
Go. Uncle Paul. Let's go, baby. All right.
All right, Luke, have a good one, man.
You too, man.
Luke Johnson from The Advocate covering the Saints. Never a dull moment.
Thanks so much for watching Hunt and Hill on YouTube.
Now do us a favor. Hit the red subscribe button below and throw us a like. We'll see you next time.